everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't know me, I'm Tori, this is Lily, and this is Frank. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about wing clipping, especially for budgies, and why it's bad, or why personally I am against it. Now, please keep in mind, I'm not trying to bash anyone who chooses to clip wings, this is just my opinion. So there are a few excuses why people still wing clip, and I'm going to tell you why they're wrong and other ways around it. So some people say that they wing clip so their bird can't get outside, and if they get outside they can grab it. Clipping their wings so they can't get out is not a valid excuse to clip. If you buy a bird, you should have a place to put them where it is safe and they can't get out either way. Your bird's cage should be very secure, and if you can't house a bird in a room where they can't get out, then you shouldn't own a bird in the first place. You shouldn't sacrifice your bird's quality of life just so you can keep them as pets. Make sure doors and windows also have fly screens on them so they can't get out even if they're open. And yes, I understand accidents do happen, but say your bird gets outside and they're clipped. All they need is one gust of wind and they are gone all the way down the street. Also, it doesn't take long for just one bigger bird to come up and take them away. Another common reason why people clip is because they say it's easier to train and tame the birds. But if you clip your bird just because of this reason, this is only benefiting you. This isn't benefiting your bird. In some cases, clipping can make taming easier because they can't get away, but you also run the risk of them becoming very aggressive because a bird's natural defense is to fly away, but if you take that away, what's next? Biting. And a good example to use is Frank, because he can't fly, but I didn't clip him. He was just born and he can't fly very well. So because he can't fly away, if he doesn't want me to be there, he bites me instead. Then they can become very aggressive. This is how they learn to bite, and biting is very hard behavior to correct. And by clipping, it'll be so much harder to recall train them as they can't fly to you. And I'll talk a bit more about that later in the video. So basically, people wing clip because it's a shortcut for them, but it can actually really damage your bird. So let's go over a few reasons why and how it is actually really harmful. So when you take away your bird's flight, they can become very depressed and mentally just not cope with it. You can notice this because they don't come out of their cage anymore, they don't want to eat as much, they're not very active, they won't chirp. And birds just want to fly. That is what they were born to do, so this can make them very depressed. Physically, birds fly a lot for exercise, and if your bird can't fly very well, they can get overweight very easily, especially if they are on an all-seed diet. If your bird is overweight, there are so many other medical issues that they can go through, and trust me, the vet is pricey. By clipping, you are also taking away their natural defense to fly away. That is what they want to do, and I can't imagine just taking that away from them. If clipping is not done by a professional or someone who is very experienced with it, you can really butcher your bird's wings. The wings might grow back funny, they might take even longer to grow back. You could actually nip a feather in the wrong spot and your birds can actually bleed out. Another really big issue is when you clip your bird's wings when they are young, you run the risk of muscle atrophy. So if your bird is clipped, they're probably not using their flight muscles as much as they should be. So obviously these muscles will become weak and they'll just start to waste away. And keep in mind, a bird's flight muscles make up to almost a third of their body mass. So if your bird does develop muscle atrophy, when their wings fully grow out and you want them to start flying again, they won't be able to because they don't have the muscles equipped to fly. So it can take months to years to correct this and to get them to grow back their muscles. So not only is clipping mentally harmful to your bird, physically it is also very damaging. Therefore, a shortcut to clip your bird's wings so they don't fly away or so you can tame them easier can really harm them. But after me telling you all of this, some people will still clip their bird's wings just so they can't get out. A way to avoid this is to actually and properly put in the time and effort to recall train your bird. This is if your bird ever got out, it could come back, or the chances of them coming back is much higher. There are plenty of great videos on YouTube about recall training. So to quickly summarize what recall training is, it's so when you call your bird, it'll just fly back to you. Yes, it does take some time to actually train your bird to do this, but it is so worth it and it makes it so much safer. And then you can't use the excuse of, oh, I clipped my bird's wings so it can't get out. Now, I'm very against wing clipping, but there is, in my opinion, only one reason to clip your bird's wings. This is if it has anything to do with medical issues. Now, I know some birds are born with disabilities and they can't fly very well and they could put themselves in danger, so the best thing to do is clip them so they can't hurt themselves. You could actually even use my bird Frank as an example of this. Frank has some neurological issues, so he can't fly very well and he backflips. So there was one point where I had to consider if I'd clip him because he always backflips off of all of his perches and hits the ground. I decided not to because I realized his wings help him like glide down to the ground, and he actually is slowly learning how to fly and he's getting stronger. Now, a good analogy for clipping your bird's wings is, what would you do if your legs were cut off? You can still pretty much do everything you want, but it makes life so much harder, and you could say your quality of life is actually affected. This goes for birds as well. If you clip your bird's wings, its quality of life is already affected more than a bird who can fly. You should be aiming to make your bird's life as good as you can, and clipping is just not the answer to that. When you get a bird, you should be prepared to house them in a safe room where they can't get out, where they can't hurt themselves, so you don't actually have to clip. If you think I missed out on anything, or if you actually disagree with any of the points I made, please comment down below. I'm very curious to know everyone else's opinions. I am not trying to shame anyone who does choose to clip their bird's wings, but I'm more trying to educate people who are not sure if they want to clip or not. And yes, I do understand some birds' wings are clipped prior to buying them, like at pet stores, sometimes they're clipped already. Obviously, that is not your fault, and I'm not talking about you. Anyways, guys, that is the end of today's video. Please like if you like the video, comment if you have any questions, or you can follow my Instagram, which is @LouieandFrank. Subscribe if you want to see more videos by me, and I will see you guys next time. Say bye-bye, Louie! She's like, nope, I ain't saying bye today.